Hello and welcome to the presentation of Hayava's Basketball Stats Pro app. This is our version 4.51. The initial screen that displays when you enter the app is our team setup page where you can manage your lineup or the other team's lineup. Select whether you're playing halves or quarters and then select the current period that you're in. You can also set the defaults for the bonus and double bonus indicators. And at the bottom of the page you have all the stats that are kept for the team. Now we're going to go ahead and click on the Manage Lineup to manage our lineup. Here we've previously entered a lineup and we've named the team USA. If we had another previously saved lineup, we could click on the Load button to load it and it'll display a list of previously saved teams. In this case we can select Test Team and we see that it loads in our test team. I'm going to go back and load the USA team again. And if you make any changes to it, you can click on the Save As or rename the team and it will save that in a new file. You can also click on Delete to delete any previously saved teams if you no longer need them. Down at the bottom, when you click Menu, you have the options to sort the players by number, clear the roster completely, export your team file, it can be any team file, and import a team file out to your SD card. So you can export it, make changes in the file and import it, or transfer it to another device and import it there. So now we're going to return to our stats entry screen. One thing that we didn't do on our team setup page is actually indicate who was in the game. Currently all our icons here on the left hand side and right hand side are gray. I'm going to click on number 4 here and he's showing up as red now. The red icon indicates that that's the current player that's selected to receive a stat. If we want to put player 4 off the bench and into the game, we just long click on that icon and he's moved to the top of the roster. And if we click on another icon like number 3, we'll see that his color has actually changed to a purplish black color. I'm going to click on number 3 and move him up also as in the game. And we'll add number 5 to the game as well. One thing to note though is that you can give a player a stat even if they're in the game or not in the game. So if we forgot to give a stat to number 2 who is on the bench now, but he had an offensive rebound before coming off the court, we can credit him that offensive rebound. So the players that are moved to the top as being in the game, it's just to make it quicker for you to find those players to award stats to them. But if you want to not put any player in the game, you can just have them in numerical order, whatever's easier for you. The same for the visitor side. You can click on any icon and award them a stat. To make a correction for a stat, if number 2, who was not in the game at the time, and you did give him that offensive rebound, and it was really number 6, you change the plus indicator to a negative indicator and click on the stat that was an error and it will decrement that stat. So you can change that back to the plus sign, click on number 6 and award him the offensive rebound. So some of the stats that we track are 2 points made, 2-point attempt, 3-point made, 3-point attempt, free throw made and free throw attempt, offensive rebound, defensive rebound, assists, turnovers, steals, fouls, 3 custom buttons which you can change the label to, blocks, and timeouts taken. The timeout taken is by team, so if number 2 is, doesn't matter which player on the home team or visitor team is selected, the team itself is credited with the timeout, not the individual players. So we see that indicator does not change. So we click on number 2 on the visitor side, the visitor team has been awarded a timeout. Down at the bottom, as we scroll down, you'll see the field goal percentages for that player and the total number of points and total fouls up to that point. So we see if we award number 5 a foul, we see that increases. And if we have several other players who are awarded fouls, the bonus indicator will light after we hit the bonus indicator or the double bonus amount. Now what we'll quickly do is change these labels here by clicking on the menu button. There's an option here for settings, and that will display the preference screen where we can change the C1 label here to be deflect for deflections, and two, maybe we want that to be a charge. And we'll leave C3 alone. Also, we can change how we view the stats. If we want to view the stats on our view stats page by the entire game or totals for the player, or by individual periods. Right now I'll go ahead and set that to periods and return. And now we see we have deflect for deflections and charge and our C3 indicator. And we'll go ahead and give number 6 here one of each, and number 1 a C3C. And what we'll see on the team setup page is those are tracked here on this as a team. We're going to return back to this screen. We don't have to return that screen, but we're going to click the menu button and click on View Stats. And we'll see the stats for both us and them on our HTML page. So on our View Stats page, we see the breakout of the points by quarters, and then we see our individual players' names and their percentages and stats for every category that we're tracking. And we'll also see, you know, the new categories we created, the deflections and charge, show up as well. So when we scroll down, we'll see all our players listed. And this HTML page can be sent, that's a different option on the menu. It's email with HTML. The format can also be sent as a CSV file, which that can then be imported into Excel and create your own season average. Option here also to reset the game. If we're done with this game and you've saved it and no longer need the data, you can reset it to start a new one. Other options are listed under the More. You can email a MaxPrep file, which can then be loaded into MaxPrep. You can select a single player to text him or email the stats to that specific player. The short email is just the team statistics. We can choose to save the game if we're done. We'll go ahead and do that. We're going to name this game our Test A game. So if we go ahead and reset this game, we can reload it. So we've cleared out all the values and come back to our load game, and we have our Test A game. We have a previously saved US versus them 12-10 game. So we're going to go ahead and click on the Test A game, and we should see game loaded. The same score, 3-3, with our bonus indicator set. Now to see season stats, which is here at the bottom of our screen in our menu, you have to save a game first, and then you select all the saved games that you want it to include in the season average. So we're going to go ahead and include Test A and our US versus them game. This last game is a game that's saved by default by the app. So when you exit the app, it creates the last game. So when you enter it, it still keeps the data. So you can exclude that one, or don't pay attention to that one. Going to click OK, and it will generate a HTML page similar to the one that we just were on, but it's just the totals of our players for the season. So we can see our combined points and all the same stats that have been defined, including our deflection and charge categories. And this is only for our team. We do not display the other teams' stats. So going back, we're still in our current game, and we see our current stats for this game on the screen here. Another new option that we've recently added is the ability to export a game file. So once you've saved the game, you can export it out to your SD card and transfer it to another device, and then use the import game file to actually import one. So let's go ahead and export our Test A game. We click on that and the game has been exported. So if we now come back over here and reset our game, it clears out our score, so we should see 0-0. We can then import our Test A game, and it'll have a BB zip file name so that we can locate it on your SD card. So we'll click on that BB zip file, and it re-imports the file or the data into the app. So you should be able to now share your stats with another person or another device, and also be able to back up your game, so just in case you lose your phone or lose the data on your phone, you could store it on USB stick and then reload it at another time. So those are pretty much all the new features that we've introduced lately. We're glad you watched the video, and thank you for your purchase.